I analyzed 1,457 jazz standards, and I'm going to show you what I found and how this is going to transform the way that you learn jazz repertoire. So let's first talk about how most people learn jazz standards. You learn one tune from a teacher, you learn some on YouTube, maybe you go to a jam session and learn that tune. Generally, people learn jazz standards in a very scattered, random way. You might be building a repertoire, but you really don't have a map or understanding of the landscape of jazz standards as a whole. And this creates a lot of problems and a lot of frustration for you. You don't know what tune to learn next. You don't know how tunes necessarily relate to each other. If you are trying to learn a tune, say Stella by Starlight, you don't know what tunes lead you along the path to be able to play that tune. And this is one of the reasons I created my Master Standards Blueprint curriculum, so that I have laid out the whole order of tunes that you should learn that goes from simplest to more complex. So I'm going to show you this really cool tool that I've built that allows you to do that. Now, I should mention I built this because a couple of our members inside Chase's Guitar Academy, shout out to Joel and Kiara, had asked for a way to solve this problem. And I want to offer it beyond just CGA because I think this is really valuable for people, no matter what platform or teacher you're using, just to be able to learn standards in a better way. And if you want to learn the standards in depth from me, you can just go to Chase's Guitar Academy. If you're not familiar with me, I'm a jazz guitarist, teacher. I run Chase's Guitar Academy, where I teach hundreds of jazz guitarists how to play and improvise more confidently and creatively. And I also am a former calculus teacher, so this kind of math and data background helps me in building these kind of systems, including this tool. So what I'll walk through for this is we'll go first through the 100 jazz standards, the jazz standard harmony map. Then I'll show you this learning tree, and then we'll go through the whole galaxy of these 1,400 tunes, so that once you have an understanding of how this works on the simpler side, you can start to use the full map. But the whole tool will be available for you for free. Just stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you where. So here we have the Jazz Standards Harmony map, and these have the top 100 tunes mapped right here. And what you can do with this is start off just by picking a tune. So I'm going to click one of these dots, and I picked Moment's Notice. And so this will show me the other tunes surrounding it that are similar. So if we scroll down here, we can see which tunes are similar. And if you want to study any of these tunes in Chase Guitar Academy, like I said, you can just click the button there and do a 7-day free trial. But it'll show you why those are similar. For example, Olio or Rhythm Changes has this A flat 7, B flat 7, C7, C minor 7. Or Donna Lee has 7 shared chords with that, and some of the same shared 2/5s, 2/5-1 movements. And you can do that for any of these tunes. You can also do that search by, let's reset it, by searching for a tune in the search bar. So let's pick Black Orpheus, and now we see that one shows up. And scrolling down, again, we see which tunes in CGA are similar and what they share. And it gives you some other harmonic neighbors. And I call it neighbors, as you'll see when we go over the galaxy side. I have these organized also by neighborhoods, so you can search and understand how these standards start to group based on these neighborhoods. So yeah, you can just check out this and see what are those similar tunes. There's a lot of different ways you can use it, but I recommend using it first by identifying some tunes that you know, and then seeing if there's other tunes that are harmonic neighbors that you might be interested in learning next. You can also hit this button, only tunes in CGA, and then if we reset this, and so that shows you some of the 32 tunes that we have inside CGA with the full curriculum already laid out. With that being said, let's look at this next one, which is the learning path. And these are tunes that are in CGA, full lessons on the tune, comping, improv, different concepts surrounding the tune, deep dives on the tune, famous solos we study from those tunes. And so with this, a few ways you can use this. I think about this like a tree trunk. At the very bottom, we have the first tunes that I recommend learning. And these are modal foundations. So what? Milestones, Little Sunflower, Cantaloupe Island, Maiden Voyage. That gives us a good foundation for minor 7 chords. Then going over to the blues, and we get a focus on dominant 7 chords. So Watermelon Man, Blue Monk, Song for My Father, Mr. PC. We're moving up the tree trunk. And then we start to get 2-5-1s, songs with 2-5-1s, like Take the A Train, Perdido, Tune Up, and Pent Up House. And notice how at this point, by doing 2-5-1s later, we've already worked on the 2 chords, the minor chords, we've already worked on the 5 dominants, and now we're just adding in this understanding of the major chords and how that progression happens. A lot of people jump in too fast, in my opinion, to 2-5-1s before really understanding or having any language over 2 chords, 5 chords, or 1 chords, or how they all go together. And then they feel overwhelmed and they're frustrated and they don't know why. And it's because they're just doing too much too fast. You just need to start simple, start building those from A to point B to point C. And so that's what we do. That's what this learning tree allows you to do. You can kind of see what that path is through the songs. Right now in CGA, we're actually doing this 90-day swing standards. We're going through Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. In a couple weeks, we'll do Caravan. And then after that, we're going to do In a Mellow Tone. So if any of those songs are interesting to you, you can also do that right now with some of our members in CGA, or just join and access any of these other starting points, depending on what works for you. So that's the learning path, the learning tree. And now let's see the galaxy. Now, this is all 1,400 plus songs that I had analyzed. And it's big. There's a lot of dots here, as you can see. And we'll talk about some of these little islands you see off in the distance of this galaxy. Okay, so again, just like here, you can search by any standard. And I suggest doing this because there's a lot of dots here to click. So if you're searching by a standard, let's just do one of the first ones here, Blue Bossa, it says. It will zoom you in to that, where that is in the galaxy. And then just scroll down. And then you can see other closely connected tunes. Again, what chords they share, how similar they are. And the closest tunes in CGA that will help you play this. And the chord progressions or chords that they share there as well, right? So you can do that for a bunch of these tunes. Just hit this reset view button if you want to restart. You'll also notice these neighborhoods. So let's actually start off with this modal neighborhood. So when I click this, you can see that that's this island all the way at the top. And these are separated from the other ones. And this is done algorithmically. It's not something I've kind of forced in that area. But those tunes are so different in the progressions because they lack 2-5-1s in most cases, and in the chord types, etc., that it brings it away from our main jazz standard cluster we could think of. So a lot of the modal tunes are all down here in this little cluster that we can zoom in on. Cantaloupe Island, Impression, Phase Dance, Little Sunflower, etc. And they all kind of congregate there. You'll see something similar with the blues tunes. We have this little cluster down here for a lot of these blues tunes. And if you click different ones of these neighborhoods together, it'll show you only tunes that are in both of those neighborhoods. So if we try and do 32 bar standards and tritone subs, you see it's 56 tunes that are in those two neighborhoods. Now, one other thing I want to point out, I'm sure I'll get comments on it. There's 1,400 plus tunes here. So in order to do that, I have a sort of standard database of chord progressions that I'm drawing from in order to map this out. There's going to be various errors in chords that are in those tunes for the database and other little discrepancies for this. If you have those discrepancies, feel free to point those out so I can make adjustments and fix this. But just know that there's going to be some errors. I kind of understand that. It's really the overall use of the tool so that you can find other tunes that are similar. How do you get this tool? It's an interactive map. It's totally for free. The only thing that you need to do is go to map.chasesguitaracademy.com. map.chasesguitaracademy.com. I'll put the link down here. And that will show you this page that we were seeing. You can switch between Harmony Map, the Learning Path, and the Galaxy. If you want to learn more about Chase Guitar Academy and how to actually learn these tunes, then join CGA, do a free trial, etc. You can find me there for that help. But if you don't need that help, you can just use the tool for free. If you guys are interested in this kind of lesson, this kind of video, You'll probably also dig the one I did analyzing 400 jazz phrases and what I discovered in that. I'll link that as well up here. Let me know what you guys think. If you think this is helpful for you, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.